there's a couple key trends we're seeing. And first, we have a team of analysts that are looking at the automotive industry on a daily basis and publishing that for anyone who wants to take advantage of our insights and intelligence. We're seeing obviously significant changes in the automotive industry where our forecast for the year at the beginning of the year had us around 17 million, 16.8 million vehicle sales for 2020. That's already down over 30%. So we're looking at a 12 million industry, which is, you know, a very significant drop that we haven't seen since the 2008 recession. I think there's some different economic situations in place now that will cause some variability, but obviously this is going to be a much tighter market than any of our advertisers were expecting moving into the year. One of the things we're seeing is from both the advertiser side, but also the dealer retailer side. So a couple big trends where we are seeing a lot of our advertisers pausing on their spend and reevaluating the messaging they might have had going against that spend. I think you're seeing reinvestments across all of the advertisers we work with and the platforms that we work with, where they are definitely leaning into the connected TV space, to any of the programmatic and more data-driven spaces than you might have historically seen, particularly with the pause and the impact on live sports and live TV itself. So really using smart data to be very prescriptive in who they're engaging with and making sure that the tone of their message is also very relevant to the time. What we are seeing here in terms of messaging is consumer, brands that are leaning in and embracing the current situation and being more advocates. I think if we look at historical automotive trends, when we saw big recessions in the 70s, when we saw the recessions again in 2008, you see advertisers that have leaned in and spent more and found a compelling and compassionate message have come out as winners. In 2008, you saw Hyundai lead the charge with automotive advertisers in terms of messaging the Hyundai Assurance program that really helped guarantee some financial burden relief on the consumer side. And what you saw is Hyundai emerged from 2008 as a brand to reckon with, where they had historically been playing catch up to a lot of brands. So I think we're going to see brands that lean in and embrace and really nail the message come out ahead in this space. The second thing we're seeing is on the automotive retailer space, which has historically been considered maybe a frictionful process of visiting a dealer and how you actually go through the process of acquiring a vehicle. You've seen necessity drive the change over the last 6 weeks and moving forward, where you had states restricting who could be buying vehicles online, lots of roadblocks in the way of advancing that industry to the e-commerce industry that we're living with today. And really what we're seeing is even the chairman of the National Association of Automotive Dealers saying he's hoping by the end of this year to have 80 to 90% of US car dealers be transacting and selling vehicles online, which prior to this, you didn't see that kind of embrace of the virtual space and the capabilities available online. So those are two big trends we're starting to see as everyone is bracing for coming out of quarantine.
We've been talking about addressability, automotive being a leading category for years. How does that work? What's your role? So
we really pride ourselves in our data is really considered a niche in the data space and that's what we've been seeing even before the pandemic, when you have more regulatory focus on data and who your data partners are and data source. Our data is very unique in this space. I would say it's not a commoditized data where we have historic automotive purchases by household across the entire US, right? That we can use for statistic analysis and build these predictive models. Um, it's very unique, it's triple sourced. So it can really help power, who should be in your campaigns and not. What's great about our partnership with TransUnion is you bring in that financial lens to it. So this summer, as dealerships and OEMs get back into business, partnering our POLK data with TransUnion's data, we can help marketers identify those. There's going to be over 3 million households in the US that have to get a replacement vehicle. Their leases are coming to expire and they're going to need a new vehicle. So helping, working with TransUnion to help identify for our advertisers and those media platforms that these are the households who are going to be buying, make sure they're in your campaign, is going to be critical. So we're really happy to be helping out the industry in that sense.
How do you see the automotive marketplace accelerated the way the industry does business by COVID, and where might that go from your point of view in the next few months?
I think you're going to see a lot more in the home delivery space. You're going to see everything. There's a couple of luxury brands that have been embracing that and dabbling with that over the years, without a terrible amount of adoption or momentum behind that. So I think you're going to see both the dealerships and the OEMs creating a frictionless process for their consumers. That like the more simplified you can make that for the consumer, I think it's going to be the better. I think what you're also going to see is the OEM. Automotive is one of the top advertiser spends. It always has been. So particularly when you're looking in the connected TV space, the addressable TV, you haven't. There's been a lot of flex in that space, right? In terms of getting a consistent measurement, a unified measurement look at the industry, getting all the players to work together. I think driven by necessity from the brands, you're going to see some of that industry stabilization and really rapid adoption of that and scale. So I think it's going to drive already, what was already a forward movement in data-driven TV. You're going to see a lot of that become more stabilized and more industry standard versus a unique thing to test and learn. I think you're going to see budgets shift from that live TV to help me spend my advertising dollars more efficiently and make them accountable. So I think platforms that can identify the appropriate households that will deliver the greatest return for brands will be winners, and ones that can prove out the success of that will also be winners.